Hi, everyone. Welcome to our special segment on Shape Partners. As I said yesterday, we are celebrating the National Family Caregivers Month, and we have a special guest with us tonight. I'm so excited. Toni Gitles, who's here to talk to us about the caregiving journey and the 6 stages of care. So I will hand it over to Toni so she can do an official introduction before she gets started with her great presentation. Toni?
Thank you, Wendy, and thank you for the invitation to be here. I love talking to people that are caring for a loved one. I'm Toni Gitles. I'm a certified caregiving consultant and educator. I lead support groups. I'm a professional speaker and a #1 international best-selling author. What I love and do best is educating people, guiding people through the caregiving journey. This is my mom. I'm a former caregiver. I took care of my mom for 14 years. And she's pictured here with one of our caregiver friends, as well as our new puppy, Jasmine. But this was in 2011. So this was a while ago. Mom was in her 90s. We were having fun. This was Halloween. So that's pretty timely. This is mom at age 98. We were celebrating her birthday party. Instead of having a big bash, we had a private dinner party with a few of her friends. After mom died, I figured out what to do with the rest of my life. And I realized I had learned so much, but had also been through such a stressful situation, caring for my mother for 14 years, that I realized it would have been so much easier had I had someone to consult with, someone that had been through this journey before that could guide me through all of the stages of caregiving. And that's how I became a certified caregiving consultant. So I started Heartlight Enterprises to provide guidance to you, family caregivers, to save you time, money, and a relief from the stress. And stress just naturally accompanies the responsibilities of caregiving. Also to build relationships with you and your families, because this could be a long journey. I want to be with you every step of the way to help you create a loving as well as memorable experience you will treasure. And I know that may sound a little odd because there's so much stress and difficulty and challenges in the journey, but it is possible. Former First Lady Rosalind Carter says there are 4 types of people. Those that have been caregivers, well, I've been there, who are currently caregivers, and I am caring for another family member, will be caregivers, it could happen to me again, and will need a caregiver. I have needed a caregiver, fortunately short-term, for different surgeries that I have had. It's nice to have a caregiver too. There's a lot to learn about receiving care, but I think that's another story. So why you need this information, how it can be helpful. And you may have found yourself in this situation. If a crisis is going to occur, it's usually unexpected, and it could be a life-threatening situation. A family member can be called, or you can have it set up that someone will be there for you to take care of your loved one or yourself. But if they don't know the wishes or the medical history of the family member that's in the hospital or in a crisis situation, it can be very stressful. It can result in hesitation, confusion, and lack of confident decision-making about care. We don't want anybody to waste time, energy, or have this increased stress for a family member. We're going to spend the next maybe 30 minutes together, and what you will learn is basically your roadmap for caregiving. I didn't know there was a roadmap, but you know what? There is, and it makes life easier to understand the stages of care, the one that you're currently in and the ones that you will be in or could be in the future. So we are going to identify potential caregiving challenges. You've probably already had some. We're going to identify coping strategies. How do you manage the challenges, and how do you take care of yourself? We're going to focus on planning, knowing when to ask for help, also creating memories. By the end of your journey, My hope for you is that you're free of regrets. And this information is based on a book by Denise Brown called The Caregiving Years, 6 Stages to a Meaningful Journey. One of the things I didn't realize when I was getting into it, and just I guess because I'd never taken care of anyone before, is that caregiving is a really emotional experience. It's a roller coaster ride. And these are just some of the emotions that people express as we move through the stages. And as we are in a different stage, whether it's just a little bit of help or full-time help for a loved one, these can also appear differently at each of the stages. So a couple, anger, annoyance at being a caregiver, anticipation, despair, emptiness, fear, grief, guilt, helplessness, loss, lost, sadness, uncomfortable, and worry. If you're an only child, you can feel obligated. It can be a duty, or you can have a positive, I can do this and I will do this attitude. You may question yourself as we go through the journey. Am I doing enough? There's so much uncertainty. Your regular routine is disrupted. There might be unfulfilled expectations. No time for yourself. And there's that word again, stress. It keeps coming up. We always have a choice though. And I'd like you to choose, I hope you will choose to find the support you need to make this a meaningful journey. And this is part of your support system, Wendy's program and what we're talking about today. So let's get into the 6 stages. I'm going to briefly define them, and then we'll take a little deeper dive into the stages. So these are the early stages. We call stage 1 expectant. So you're not actually hands-on caregiving, but you're concerned that a family member or friend will need assistance because of their age, a past or present health condition, or a current living situation that really isn't going that well. So let's use the chat room. And if you are currently in this stage, or you can identify that you've been in this stage, or even will be in this stage, put a number 1 in the chat. While you're doing that, we'll talk about stage 2. We call this the freshman caregiver. You are now caregiving. You begin helping on a regular basis. It could be weekly, it could be a few times a week. An example might be that you're running errands, you're driving your loved one to doctor's appointments, and you could actually be helping them with their financial situation, helping them pay bills, and possibly you're giving hands-on care. So if you recognize the stage, if you're currently in it, if you have been in it, put a number 2 in the chat room. Now the middle stages, and this is just a brief summary, remember. Stage 3 we call entrenched. And when I tell you why, you'll know this word fits the definition exactly. You're involved daily, if not constantly, involved in the care. You structure your day, your whole day to be available. And you could get so involved, and it can go on for such a long period of time that you often wonder, how long can I keep this up? So if you have been in this stage or currently are, put a number 3 in the chat room. Great, thanks. Stage 4 we call pragmatic. And you know, at this stage, you've been caregiving for a while now, and you've been through a lot of challenges. However, you've learned a lot. So your approach becomes much more practical and realistic and no nonsense. You've actually, by this stage, cultivated a sense of humor, and that's been a critical tool for your survival. So if you have been in or are in stage 4, put 4 in the chat room. Also, I want you to know that these stages are fluid. You can be in and out of them several times and experience them differently each time you're in them. So the later stages, stage 5, we call transitioning. You've been caring for someone for some time now, and you're actually going to be transitioning your role as a caregiver because that individual is going to be transitioning as well. At this point, you have a sense that the end is near for your loved one. If you've been there, if you are there now, put the number 5 in the chat room. Finally, stage 6 is Godspeed. Here, your role as a caregiver is actually ended. You've lost your loved one, and you've also lost your identity as a caregiver. You may be in a state of flux. You may wonder, what do I do now? Where do I go from here? So if you're there in the Godspeed stage 6 caregiving stage, put 6 in the chat room. So let's do a deeper dive. 1 is the expectant caregiver, where you may help. We're going to give you some key words, and these key words I want you to write down. So write down the word ask. The key words are taken throughout the stages, and these are going to help you know what to do in each of the stages. So and they'll be different as you go through the stages, but the word is important because it's a reminder of what you can do in that particular stage to get information, to get results, to overcome the challenges. Keyword is ask. And who are you going to ask? You're going to ask questions of the person you're going to care for. And it may be a parent, and maybe they don't need care yet, but you want to get to know what they like, the kind of care that they'd like to receive should they need it. You may even want to find out more about their background and their life story. Also, who are their healthcare professionals, their attorneys, their financial and tax consultants. This is going to be crucial information later on, because gathering all this information together is going to be very helpful and reduce the stress that you're in. There may be family members who may be involved in providing care, and this is the time to have conversations with them to find out what they'd like their role to be, how they'd like to be involved in providing care. Also, this is a great time to begin identifying people in your community of support. Who can help? If it's not family members, is it friends? Is it neighbors? Other people in the different communities that you and your loved one are involved in. There's a lot of help out there. We just don't realize it, and we don't think about it as helpful when needed, not often. So the expectant caregiver, here are just a couple of the challenges and the strategies that we often see. For example, you might underestimate the warning signs, and it could be apparent, and it could appear when you're visiting with them that they need some help around the house, or you could see a stack of papers or bills that are unpaid. It's easy to say, nah, everything's okay. But the best strategy is that the more clearly you see now, the better you handle the future. And one of the things that is one of the most effective strategies anytime in any of these stages is communication. It's going back to asking questions, finding out if people need help. Now, the next thing that happens though is you may have these conversations, but you may hit an obstacle. And that could be that the person doesn't want to give you any information, that they don't want to talk about their health and how they are. So try to work within that obstacle, but don't give up. Plant the seeds, continue to plant the seeds for conversations. Also, try not to get frustrated or demanding of that individual. You want to stay calm, and you want to treat this as a conversation that is going to be beneficial for you when you become a caregiver and for your loved one. So that's stage 1. So let's move into stage 2. We call this the freshman caregiver. And remember, now you're helping some. And it could be minimal, but you're starting to get involved in your loved one's life. A lot of times, caregiving is about experimenting, figuring out what works. And unfortunately, we'd like to make good decisions the first time around. And we think they're good decisions at the time, but we may hire help, and the help just doesn't work out. So we have to find a better way, or a new company that can serve us better. But also for you, the caregiver, this is about your life as well. And so many people give up their life completely to take care of a loved one. So I'm going to be reminding you at the different stages to do something for yourself. And at stage 2, it's create a habit of enjoying your own life while you begin your caregiving journey. The key word here is find. And you may be starting to find those services that help, like a home care agency. Or, it could be you go to the doctor with your parent or your spouse, and you don't like the doctor, and they don't give you good information. Well, could be you need to find a new physician. That's happened to me a couple of times over 14 years. You have to be able to work with the people that can be your support system. Another thing is support. The word support is going to come up a few times because it's important that you get support. You're going to be supporting your loved one, but who's going to be supporting you? It could be a spouse. It could be another family member. It could be one of your children that's helping you. But you want to find things that comfort you, and that's something you can identify. Also, stay in your life, find ways to keep enjoying your hobbies and interests. And also, this is a good time to start journaling about your caregiving experience. It could be just activities that you're involved in. It could be the emotions that you're experiencing. And then also a separate journal could be about your loved one and the different activities that you're involved with that person, like doctor's appointments and how they're doing. There are challenges, of course, at every stage and strategies. The biggest one that seems to come up is miscommunications with healthcare professionals. And remember, I said communication is a key strategy all of the time. A lot of people are intimidated by the medical community. They leave without understanding why a test is ordered or why medication is ordered. Please stick through it. Even this is uncomfortable for you. Ask for clarification. Always understand healthcare needs as completely as possible. The other one is sometimes, I'm the caregiver, I'm going to make all the decisions, and I'm going to do everything that I know that's right to do. Well, a challenge is that you overlook your loved one's suggestions. They're still able to give you input. It's their life, and you need to value your loved one's insights. We talk a lot about you are the caregiver, they are the care recipient, but really you're care partners. And I like to think of it that way because you're going through this experience together, and it's important to talk to each other and flush out the important decisions. Something else that happens, and it could be this stage and it could be later, but if you ask for help from family members, they say they'll help, but they don't. This can create arguments. This can create really dissatisfaction with family members. But if you are specific in your request for help, this could help. If they are just a no for helping you, then let them be a no and ask again the next time you need help. Not everybody is comfortable being a caregiver, but they could provide other help for you, like making dinner, mowing your lawn, going to the grocery store for you. And that could be a big help and take some of the stress off. We're going to move into the middle stages, and I called stage 3 the entrenched caregiver. This is probably going to be a real crisis and emergency situation in the hospital, and you're helping there all the time. All of a sudden, it's not just a couple hours a week. It's really, you don't want to leave the individual because they're in a critical situation. It's really important to develop a routine for yourself, create a familiar schedule for both you and your care recipient. When we talk about it entrenched, some people refer to this as the tsunami has hit, and it's extremely stressful. And if you haven't done the preparation from stages 1 and 2, It might be too late to have that conversation with your loved one that you're caring for to get all the information you need. And that's why this is helpful. So the key word here is receive. Receive help when you can. If you're really caregiving 24/7, you have to take a break somewhere and you have to ask for help and support. A lot of times we really fight the situation. We don't want this to be our life. We don't want to be caring for someone 24/7. But accepting the situation, really connecting that this is the reality and I'm going to do the best I can here. Also, receive help, take breaks, and get that support. That will be a good strategy for you for this stage. And again, if you have that community of support set up ahead of time, you know who to call. You know who will be a yes for help. So some of the challenges and strategies here are, and as an only child, I went through this. I really believed that I was the only one that could provide care for my mother. And it took me a long time to ask other people to intervene. Now, I did pay some caregivers, but I just still felt like I was caregiving 24/7. It really didn't matter. So the strategy here is that, yes, you may be the best caregiver, but you are not the only one. Other people can learn to help and follow your instructions. At this stage, you're so burdened and you get so tired that you really forget what it was to feel relaxed and normal again. And then it's important not to keep those emotions pent up inside you. So to have someone that you can discuss your concerns with, and talk to someone, a non-judgmental, caring listener is what we refer to that person as. And it could be a professional, could be someone like me as a consultant. It may or may not be another family member. It depends what your relationships with them are at this point. The pragmatic caregiver, we're in stage 4. We're still in that middle section of caregiving. You've been caregiving for a while. You're still helping. You're still the primary caregiver, but you've settled into your role now. And it's much more of a routine. This is a time where you have an opportunity to reflect and figure out what you've learned and kind of reassess the situation. Things have probably settled down. You're not in that crisis stage anymore. So the word here is to welcome. Your key word is welcome. So write that down, welcome. We're going to review all the strategies at the end. Find the joy in the relationship with your loved one. Forgive the people that haven't helped you in the past. Find activities that you can share with not only your loved one, but other people in your life. And think about what your future might be if you've put your future on hold. We want to focus on you and what you need. So what is a challenge at this time? See, I led into that really nicely. You decide to put your future on hold because caregiving is really taking up a tremendous amount of your time. But use your time now to plan and prepare for the time after caregiving, or to prepare for the next week or the next month. What can you add to your schedule now that will bring you some joy? The final 2 stages, this is stage 5, the transitioning caregiver. So your loved one is in a transition state. There is nothing yet or left to do to improve their health. You may have called hospice, or the end may come very suddenly. This may be a very short stage. It was for me, it was about 2 weeks long before we knew something was wrong and my mom passed away. But it could be a long stage as well. But your focus here is to walk with your loved one during their last months and weeks. This is an important time to spend with a loved one. If you have any fear around it, get counseling or talk to a friend about it, but try to let go of that fear. There's going to be a tremendous amount of emotion going on here, as you enter this stage, but put your focus on love and loving that individual. Your key word here, and write this down, is called allow. You're allowing the natural cycle of life, and you're allowing time to mourn and grieve. I know working with cases of a spouse, taking care of a spouse with dementia, this mourning and grieving can go on many years, and it changes as the individual deteriorates. So if you're caring for someone that has a condition like that, this is going to be a very difficult emotional journey. So please get the support in place that you need to help you. So challenges and strategies. I know as caregivers, we're always solving problems. We're doing things. We're looking for the next medicine. We're looking for the next test to determine a better outcome. But often at this point, it's time to stop doing and to spend that time to be with your loved one. Only you will know when this is right, and communicating with your physician or the nurse that's taking care of them can really, or hospice particularly, can guide you through this. You know, you may not want to take a break. Others are telling you what to do. Take a break. You may feel guilty because you don't want to take a break. You do want to be with your loved one. You don't know how much time you have left. So you've got to look inside, and you've got to do what is right for you. If you are the primary caregiver, you decide when and if a break is needed. Okay. Stage 5 is stage 6 is the Godspeed caregiver. Some of you have been here. Your caregiving journey has ended. Your loved one has passed away. What now? Well, your purpose really is to reflect on your journey. And if you've been journaling, this may make it a little bit easier. I took a lot of time to reflect on what I'd learned. Also noticing that I've really changed. I really was a stronger person than I thought I was. I really handled difficult situations, and I didn't know that that was something I could do because I'd never taken care of anyone before, and I didn't have those kind of challenges with my health and taking care of myself. Your key word here, and write this down, is treasure. You're going to have dreams. You still have a life. You want to treasure what you want to do for yourself with the rest of your life. Take a look at the challenges that led you to new skills. And also you want to treasure the memories of your loved one. The biggest challenge here is that you really underestimate the importance of your journey. You kind of say, well, it was nothing. Okay, it was hard. But you're going to be different if it's been a long journey. I know I didn't expect to be taking care of my mom for 14 years, but the positive side was she lived to be 100. She was mentally alert. And in between all her healthcare crises and runs to the emergency room and hospitalizations, we had some incredibly quality time together. So that's your personal caregiving roadmap, the 6 stages. What is important to do now is apply it to your own life and perhaps learn more about it so you can understand how to navigate your journey. But I've posted here for you the 6 key words, which again are coping strategies. You can use all of these words in any stages. You might say, who do I ask a question of today? What information do I need to find? What do I need to receive today? What can I welcome, or who can I welcome into my life? What do I need to allow? And what do I need to treasure? So all great questions at any of the stages. So I'd like to hear from you an idea or a piece of information that is your takeaway from our session today. I have another slide, but I'm going to stop sharing and see if we have any responses and any questions.
Yes. We actually have Cindy who said she is or was in stage 3, when you were going through the phases, of caregiving. I'm not sure if Cindy put that
Okay. Any question or
on
anything we can,
there.
because that's a challenging stage,
Um,
incredibly challenging.
yeah. And Cindy also said she's a big fan of
Awesome.
journaling.
I know that that's helped so many people. And, especially I've been reading a lot about gratitude journaling lately, and I've been very good now for 6 weeks journaling a gratitude.
Yes, especially in this, day and
Yeah,
time with, COVID, which has shifted our life
very much.
personally
So
and
if you can write
professionally.
3 things you're grateful
Um,
for either in the morning or at the end of the day, that can really change your mood and your reflection on the world. Communication is definitely a sticking point. Conversations are difficult to have, especially a lot of people just don't know how to approach a conversation, um, and to move it forward. A real key thing is to let everybody say what's on their mind. Don't intervene, don't interrupt. Just hear what they have to say about the topic you want to talk about. So give them the space. Um, don't, really, don't argue. Just say, boy, I didn't know how you feel. I didn't know you felt that way. I'm so glad we're having this conversation. Here's how I feel. Can we talk about this a little? Because I have a different point of view. And I really want to be there for you. Really want to support you. So something like that to set up the conversation ahead of time. I hope that helps, Cindy.
yes. And I also think it's important for you and the person, your loved one, to be aligned. So when you go into the doctor's office, you guys are on the same team,
Yeah.
talking to the healthcare professional. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for that, Cindy.
And let the doctor know they're on your team.
Yes,
Yes, that you're not separate from them. This is a joint effort, that they're a
absolutely.
team member and you'd appreciate their support.
And that's one thing, at Shape Partners we value is letting caregivers know they are an essential part of the team.
Yeah.
Because when the doctors or nurses are not there, they're there with that person. So their feedback is just as important. We have someone here that likes your welcome. I don't remember what stage that was. That welcome is yours.
Um, Let me look. I've forgotten already. Welcome is stage 4.
Stage 4.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's the pragmatic caregiver. You've been a caregiver for a while. You really want to find some joy in the relationship, and I know it's difficult. One of my clients is always focusing on what good thing happened today, and he's got a wife with dementia, so finding the good moments, and it may only be moments. It may not be a good day, or it could be a good hour. That's a really good experience when they have a good hour together and are sharing and communicating. Um, and that's helped him through quite a bit.
We talk about creating and enjoying the golden moments, which are
Yes,
those good
I love
times.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, the golden moments.
All right. And we have, I love that reflection piece. I think it's so important. And
Well,
reflection is important, but I don't think we give ourselves enough time to actually reflect, taking the time to do that. Sorry, Tony, were you going to say something?
no, that's towards the end of your journey, you have a little bit more time
Yeah.
to actually, think about what has this all meant. I was amazed that 14 years had passed.
Hmm.
And it was like, okay, that was a long journey. I mean, I remember after 2 or 3 years, I was kind of going, how long is this going to last?
Hmm.
I don't know if I can do this. But that's when I started communicating differently with my mother too, and making sure. Now, I had a cooperative mom overall, and I know not all of our loved ones are very cooperative and easy to get along with, but that is really key to reducing your stress as well. And again, a lot of that happens in communication. And, you know, I have a life coach, and he's always saying, life is only about one thing. It's about love.
Mhm.
And if you can put more love into that relationship, does your mom, your spouse like ice cream? Go get ice cream. You
Yeah,
know, that's a shared experience that can be enjoyable, and that shows you love that individual.
yeah, absolutely. We have another comment here. I really appreciate the PowerPoint.
Oh,
You
good.
and
Oh,
the
that's so
slides.
great.
No, that's awesome. Good to know.
Thank you.
I see your name, so that's why it just says Facebook user.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm going to share my screen again because I have just a final offer for you.
Oh, there's one more comment.
Okay. Well, I just want to give out, I have a free newsletter.
Oh,
And if you go to mycaregiverconsultant.com newsletter, you'll also get a free ebook to download on 21 success tips for caregivers. And then I also have some virtual events at www.mycaregiverconsultant.com events.
okay,
So,
we can put the link in the comments.
oh, okay, great, awesome.
And the last comment here is sometimes there are personality clashes.
Often there are personality clashes with the person you're caring for. And what I hear more often than even that is family members who are not involved in caregiving, but are telling you what to do, or you're using bad judgment, or that's the wrong decision. And that can be very frustrating. And you've got to set some boundaries for yourself with both the person you're caring for, as well as family members that aren't being helpful to you.
Yes. And I usually tell my caregivers who I work with that don't allow people to steal their energy. Don't give your
Yes.
energy away.
Yeah.
So it's really important to kind of control that. And it takes time. It's easier said than done, but there will be those conflicts. All right. And I guess we can end. Tony, I will ask, do you have any last pieces of advice or pearls for our caregivers that may be watching today?
Oh, what a great question. Well, I think there's so much information in the 6 stages that, you know, people just have aha moments all the time. So if you have a way of watching this again and going through it, it might bring up some other questions. Feel free to contact me, and we can do a free consultation and a strategy session for you. But look into other resources that help you. Don't give up. And join a support group if you can. I don't know, Wendy, if you have one.
Yes,
Um,
we do. We do.
yeah,
Yeah.
that I highly recommend that, because you need to be around people that have experienced caregiving, that understand what that journey is about and how it impacts a life. So join Wendy's support group.
All right. Thank you, Tony. We appreciate your time. Great presentation. Good night,
Thank you.
everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.